Story 1. Honestly, maybe it's blown out of proportion, but I have a fear of trying to be myself and talking to someone new, and I end up on one of those TikToks or Instagram reels about a creepy guy ruining someone's night, or being the butt of someone's joke in their group chat. It happened to me before, and I've just stopped. Story 2-1. Going out costs money. Our country does not have parks or comfortable places to hang out, aside from malls, which is why reason number 1 costs money. I hate dealing with traffic. Story 3. Because of the internet, people used to get bored and lonely, but the internet provides just enough social interaction that you don't really need to socialize in the physical world anymore. Staying home is easy. Not gathering the energy to engage is easy. It's disastrous for our mental health in the long run, but on a day-to-day basis, it's easy and feels comfortable. Story 4. Honestly, I just enjoy my own space. I've got everything I need at home, and socializing takes way more energy than it used to. Nothing beats just chilling in my own comfort zone. Story 5. Because every time I go out, other people annoy me and are universally unpleasant. Honestly, it seems the only people walking around are in a bad mood, have a drug or alcohol problem, mental issues, or are just looking to prey upon or swindle other people. Story 6. Because I can stay in the comfort of my own home, in my sweats or pajamas, with my cats and do whatever I want. I don't drink and generally don't stay up late. I can watch the shows I want to watch, listen to the music I enjoy, and not spend a penny. Plus, I actually enjoy being alone. Story 7. Mainly is the need to drive to places. The place I am living in isn't walkable due to the lack of infrastructure and climate. The second reason is just that I am extremely shy and awkward. It's pretty hard for me to break the ice. Story 8. I find people so difficult. I always come back feeling anxious, disappointed, angry, or upset. I feel like a black sheep every time I interact with people. Story 9. I like to socialize, but my social battery drains quickly. I've always been that way. I don't know why, but I just feel like myself at home. I would rather be with the people in books. Story 10. I actually get dizzy and overwhelmed from too much environmental stimulation, and then I have to spend days recovering. Back in the heyday of shopping malls, I would often end up sitting on a bench and sometimes cry because it was too much. It's a mix of sensory processing disorder, autism, and introversion. Just imagine trying to do anything while you are being blinded by the sun and someone is screaming non-stop into your ear. That's the best way I can describe it. Story 11. I am sick of people. I am sick of seeing entitled blue-haired people throwing fits in public, sick of listening to people complain, sick of the political hate from people whose government hates them, sick of people acting like they are better than everyone. Story 12. Because I crave intimate connection and deep conversations with people, I feel like most people out and about wouldn't even make the time for that or might just think that I'm weird for wanting it. I literally don't know how to have any other type of conversation besides a deep one. Story 13. On a practical level, it may be any of, I'm too tired. The weather isn't pleasant. I don't want to see that particular person or group of people at that time. I have an early start the following morning and don't want to be out too late. I don't want to commute to a faraway location. I feel like being alone. On a philosophical level, I think people are on a spectrum from 100% extrovert to 100% introvert. Me, personally, I'm an extrovert 75% of the time, but the other 25% necessitates that I be alone with my thoughts. Story 14. I was sociable in university. I went out multiple times a week to get drunk, go to restaurants, and go to parties with friends. Looking back, it was exhausting and full of drama. I now love nothing more than putting my daughter to bed and settling down in front of the television. I wake up in the morning with no alcoholic remorse, no embarrassment, and no worry. Story 15. Food is expensive at the restaurant. I have a backyard patio, an outdoor pizza oven, and a large grill for us to cook food. Someone brings the drinks and we have a party that is cheaper. Story 16. I am autistic. My social skills are not the best, and I am told that because of my autism, I somehow make people uncomfortable. I got kicked out of a Bible study group because I made someone uncomfortable. They never told me directly and instead informed someone else, which resulted in me being removed from the group. So this is mostly the reason why. Story 17. If you stay home, you can save money, save time getting ready, and do exactly what you'd like to do. You do not have to wait for anything. Enjoy peace and quiet, talk on the phone, and not risk your life. I can go on for another few lines. Story 18. I have spent a lot of time and effort making my home my home. It is my happy place. Home is where my dogs are. It is where my wife is. It is where my kitchen is. Outside is where people are. And people are a pain. Story 19. Being around people in the generic strangers to acquaintances sense, not quality time with close friends, is mentally and emotionally exhausting, and I would rather spend that time decompressing and resting from all the other things going on in my life. Story 20. No friends due to crippling social anxiety and not being allowed to have them growing up, being isolated from my peers, leading to not having any to carry over into adulthood. I cannot make new friends due to crippling social anxiety that leads to excessive talking, where I share too much personal information without even realizing I'm doing it because they made the mistake of asking me a question about childhood or family. I'm working on it, but it is hard. Story 21. Oh, I don't know, maybe because the world is fake and full of posers? Like, sorry, I don't want to waste my time making mindless small talk about who won the football game when I could be home listening to 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge on my iPod mini and actually feeling something real. Every time I go out, it's just standing around while everyone pretends to have fun, and I'm just like, laugh out loud, kill me. So yeah, I'll stay in my room, thanks. At least my MySpace top 8 actually understands me. At least they don't tell me to just smile more. Story 22. I would rather spend the night at the emergency room than at a bar. Every single time I have ever gone to a bar, I have been miserable. Every time just ends up with me taking a walk and sitting on a bench somewhere remote so my friends can have fun. It's loud, and I hate being around drunk people. I did the party thing when I was young. In high school, my house was the safe place to go and drink and have fun. Story 23. Because I've done that before, I've learned my social battery seems to be less than others. I know when I'm done, and others tend to not appreciate that, so it's easier to stay home. Story 24. The second I quit drinking alcohol was pretty much the moment I stopped socializing and having friends who don't live on the other side of the country. Story 25. 1. I do not like being around people I do not know unless I have to. I enjoy my own company more. The only time I enjoy being out and about is to have quality time with people I love. I have sensory issues, so in summer I prefer staying in a cooler environment, also known as my house, unless there's a pool involved in the hangout. Story 26. Safety. Too many people. I have to put pants on. Everything is so expensive. My cat will not come with me. So many idiot drivers. I am the only driver in the house and do not always feel like driving. Cannot see well at night. Meredith Grey does not exist in reality. It is so bright out there. Too cold. My body hurts. Need I go on? Story 27. I am an antisocial person. I used to think that there was something wrong with me, but over the years I realized the problem isn't with me. The few friends I have are lifelong. My immediate family is loved and well cared for. I'm generally a happy person, despite the constant strain that society puts upon me. I realized that the problem isn't me, it's you. Most of you anyway. Story 28. Because I bought a 1980s home with a huge garden that requires so many repairs and so much maintenance, it takes up pretty much all of my free time. We are working on making as much of it self-maintaining as possible, but that takes even more effort. So, if I'm not at home, I'm probably at the hardware store. Story 29. Because I have nobody to go out and do things with, the only friend I have that lives near me hates doing what I want to do, so I choose to just never go out because that is the easiest option. Story 30. I have nobody to be social with. I've never built any solid group of friends. Sure, I have friends, 30, 20, 10-year-old friendships, but these are individual relationships, currently scattered in several different cities, none in mine because I had to move last year to a remote place. Story 31. I think the most relatable reason is life is too expensive. It's too expensive to exist under your own house, and it's too expensive to have fun at an establishment. But mainly, people are disappointing, and there's always a risk for a driving under the influence violation. Vices snowball. Story 32. Because I have a social battery that runs out pretty quickly, I can't tolerate other humans long enough to not get annoyed. I'd rather stay home with my cats and watch Grey's Anatomy. Story 33. I do not like to eat out, so I save money. I also have anxiety in a social setting, or I fear saying the wrong things. I also feel like I am not funny. Lastly, I love my cat, so I like staying home with her. Story 34. I don't necessarily choose it, but the guy I live with doesn't let me go out very often. It seems like he is always too tired, too hungry, too involved in his stuff here at the house. He pretty much stays in his pajamas all day. I have to do everything for him, and whenever I think I can get away with brushing my hair or having a decent meal, he somehow always needs something from me. Story 35. Why not? Introvert here. I am a social being and I do like relevant social interaction. My idea of relevance differs from average. Chit-chat works as a sort of glue for most extroverts as well as ambiverts, while for most introverts it is mostly talking about nothing with someone you don't want to talk with. Most people are mostly extrovert. Only 20% are mostly introvert. Just like myself, they avoid a lot of social interactions because general socializing does not suit their needs. With that, their paths do not cross more often. Maybe when social standards change a little to benefit introverts, more introverts would also go out and engage in their way of socializing more often. Story 36. I have no one to be social with. I have to plan how to get there and back in time to pick my daughter up from school. So is it worth it? I either have no money or it costs too much. I like staying home, but it does get lonely at times. Story 37. Everything costs money. It's cold, seasonal depression, chronic illness, and the fact that my friend group just hasn't done as much stuff lately. The number of things to do is steadily decreasing while the cost of those things increases. Story 38. Society has changed, and the younger generation has little respect for authority and rules. This, combined with knife crime skyrocketing, keeps people in the United Kingdom indoors. Story 39. Go where exactly? The pub to watch the dogs or horses. A nightclub with the 20-somethings? Any sports club and but we've done it this way since the 50s? Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Story 40. Because me being social involves not having anything to say, getting bored, and hating myself. For example, all things I can do without having to spend time and money by leaving the house. Story 41. Older and had my fill. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. Now it's time for all that good relaxing stuff I can do at home. Wife in the same basket. Too easy. Story 42. My bedroom is my comfort space. I don't like people. Everything I want to do can be done in my bedroom alone, and I have a very low social battery and social anxiety. Story 43. You don't know who is who anymore. Went to the bar the other night, had a great conversation with another tradesperson, and all of a sudden, he started going off on immigration and deportation of anyone that is not white. It really sucks because he could have been a great drinking buddy. Story 44. I do go out, but absolutely not to socialize. I see friends now and then, but frankly, I'm happier just spending time by myself and with my wife. Other people are a necessity I tolerate rather than enjoy. Story 45. 1. Poverty. 2. Bored out of my mind with most people who are shallow as anything. 3. Have not met one person in my age group to be friends with. Unless you're married or have a family, nobody cares about single 59-year-olds who have no family. Story 46. I have a lot of interests, for example, crocheting, and I'd rather spend my time by myself than with people being fake as anything. I seriously don't know how to handle people who say one thing in private and another in public. Story 47. Easier to just say no to everything than to deal with people's nonsense. I'm already checked out, just waiting for that heart attack and eternal nothingness. This world is a vampire and I'm over it. Story 48. I go out but only with friends and rarely. I am very social, but ever since I moved to London, it's not been the same. Drunk people in every corner, crazy prices, and people simply don't want to talk. Story 49. I am broke and in too much pain usually. I don't have a friend group to drag me out. My sleep is so messed up from pain that I'm usually asleep during the times when most social functions are happening, during the daytime. Story 50. I live in a red area, so going out is distressing. But it's much nicer to stay home and so read a book or work in my yard planting stuff or composting. My going about town would be a visit to the library. Story 51. I finished the part of my life where being socially engaged all the time at work and at home was enjoyable. And I have a small social cup. It doesn't take much to fill it to contentment. Story 52. Why not? All my stuff is there, including my friends remotely. Most of them are far away, and we rarely meet up because of practicalities. But I can call them, play games with them, interact with them, video chat with them, etc. Being social, in many people's definition, revolves around 1. Nightclubs. Nope. Bars. I don't drink. I have no interest whatsoever in being unable to talk to the person next to me that I've gone out specifically to socialize with. At home, I have snacks, proper food, entertainment, warmth, comfort, access to the people I want to communicate with. I don't have to pay money. I don't have to drive anywhere, find parking, deal with drunks or bouncers. I don't have to account for another hour or more travel time, pay for petrol, drive people home, etc. Being social has no correlation to going out for me. They overlap a little, sure, but they aren't linked. And I go out plenty for other things I do want to do. I can socialize with my friends while hiking through a forest if I want. They don't need to actually be there. Welcome to 2025, where for the past few decades, most of the people I know and enjoy the company of best live on the other side of the world, and I've never met them. And most of the people in my physical proximity are people I don't want to socialize with at all for the most part. Sure, we meet up. Nothing like a good games night, where one of us stays home and the others come to them, and for some reason, it's usually me that they come to as I have a lot of extra kit they don't have, like virtual reality, hundreds of board games, etc. So it still isn't reliant on going out. If video meetings and working from home are good enough for conducting entire careers, interacting with high-end professionals like doctors and lawyers, then they're good enough for friends too. We spent all the time from about the 1950s to the present day constantly dreaming of video calling everyone, friends, family, doctors, celebrities, etc. Including it in movies, books, television shows as utter science fiction for most of that time. And now that we have it, you want to throw it away and make everyone drive an hour to meet up?